And Juliann would like to make a brief statement, and then we'd be happy to take any questions you may have.
Thanks, Tom. I wanted to say thank you, first of all. The reason that I'm here is it's sad and it's unfortunate, but I wanted to first say that through such a horrible tragedy, I have been overwhelmed with how good people are at their core. And I wanted to stand publicly and thank everyone for all that this community has done, for all that the citizens of the world have done, for the fire department that has been remarkable. They have been fantastic. And I know that I mentioned to the firemen, but I want to tell you as well, I feel like what our children have lost in having their dad here, they've gained in having a fire family. And these firemen have stepped up. They were at school with my son on his first day. It has been remarkable, and it has really touched my heart, and I wish that my message could end there with gratitude, with just saying positive things. Unfortunately, 99% of the world that's being so gracious and so kind, there is that small percent that has not done that for our family. And unfortunately, that tiny percent are the people that are in a position to make it right. And I stand here not just for me, but there was 19 men that perished in that fire. 20 men in the Granite Mountain Hotshot crew that fought that fire for each of us. And for whatever reason, there are people that feel that some of them don't deserve to be treated in a way that the others do. This is not to take away from those that have been given what they are entitled to. By all means, all 19 families were together, we're unified, and I believe that we love each other and we're tied together for life through this terrible tragedy. But I will do anything that I can to fight for the other 13 men that they're classifying as seasonal, because they had lives and families, and they gave the ultimate sacrifice for our community. And they're not being treated fairly. They're not being given the benefits that someone should be given when they put their life on the line and ultimately lose their life to be able to save those of ours in the community. So for that reason, I will stand with any one of the 12 families that isn't having an opportunity to speak, and do anything in my power to be sure that they're treated equally. My situation's a little bit unique in the fact that my husband Andrew did work full-time for the city of Prescott. He was a full-time employee, he worked full-time hours, he had a full-time responsibility, he had a full-time salary. There is no way that I can fathom how the city is justifying him as seasonal, or part-time. That's kind of why I feel that I need to be vocal, and that I have a platform to stand on and to speak to you and tell you that this is unfathomable. It's disappointing. I've been shocked at how the city officials have treated my family. And for any of you that weren't present at the city council meeting yesterday, you would have been shocked at how they treated Eric Marsh's widow, Amanda. Bless her heart for being there and having the courage to stand up for us. And she just wanted to address the council and let them know our perspective as mourning families and as widows. And Amanda was brave enough to stand up there in front of all of these people and address city council, or attempt to address city council, and she was shut down by the mayor. Just in her request to speak, she said, "Please give me 2 minutes of your time." And they refused to let her speak. She said, "I'm the widow of Eric Marsh. Please let me speak." And they shut her down and they would not let her speak. That is exactly how we've been treated as a family in the Ashcraft family. I am saddened that it goes throughout the other 19 as well. So my hope in being here today is not only that my voice can get out there for my family, the fact that I have 4 small children that now I've got to find a way to provide for them, because my husband giving the ultimate sacrifice in the city's eyes wasn't enough to seal the deal that we'll be given health benefits, that we'll be given his salary moving forward so that we can create the life for our kids that we put together for them. It's sad that I have to even stand here today and fight for what my husband already earned. It's sad that there's 12 other families that aren't being given what their brother or their husband or their spouse earned. It is a terrible tragedy, and the bigger tragedy is in the fact that the people that can make it right aren't making it right. And so I want to thank you guys for being here, for listening. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have for me, and please, bless you for being here, and please do anything you can to make sure, if you do have a voice that can be heard by these elected officials of the city, that you make your voice known for how you feel for these 19 families, because they were out there putting themselves willingly in that fire to protect our homes and our lives, and I'm sure that some of you may have been affected by their service on the Dosi fire. And they did it willingly, and the hardest part for me to absorb with the city is that my husband and these other men, they not only did 100% of what they were asked to do, they went above and beyond every time. They did more than they were asked to do every time and gave the ultimate sacrifice. And the city has said, even in their statement, that they're meeting requirements, that they will take care of the bare minimum that they have to do. That is a far cry different from what you guys are doing, from what the community is doing, what the fire department is doing. Everyone else seems to be wanting to do, like our husbands did in the Granite Mountain Hotshots, above and beyond. But the few handful of elected city officials are not. And unfortunately, that doesn't allow my kids to have those benefits, and I have to provide for them. So that's why I'm here today, and thank you for being here.
Would you name the city officials who have mistreated us?
Thank you for asking. The city officials that I myself have had some, some run-ins with that were unprofessional and rude. The mayor is the ringleader as far as I'm concerned. He has been horrific in dealing with him. He's been uncompassionate. Amanda, thank you for being here. He has mistreated people that should have been. It is his job as the mayor of this city to make sure we're unified, especially in a cause of something that's so noble. Eric Marsh developed this crew. He's instilled in them characteristics that we should be proud of. He taught them to be good members of the community first. That's their motto, esse quam videre, to be rather than to seem. And he told those men, you will be good men. You won't just pretend that you're good men. And they were. And they gave their lives for the city. And the mayor doesn't understand that. He has not exhibited a fraction of their poise and their character that all 19 and 20, including Brendan, did. So the mayor is the first person that I have major concerns with. There's been a couple of individuals in the HR department and the city manager that also have been beyond difficult to work with. But I don't want to make a blanket statement about the council because I feel that they don't necessarily have all the information that they need to be able to help us because they're working under the voice and the direction of the mayor. Any other questions?
Anybody else?
Can you tell us why they're classifying your husband as a seasonal worker? As a full-time person?
I did, yeah. I can't speak for why they're doing what they're doing. In fact, I cannot for the life of me comprehend how they're doing anything that they're doing. I believe what they're trying to say is, 3 years ago when my husband became a hotshot with Granite Mountain, he signed a piece of paper that said, I understand that I'm a seasonal employee. And at that time he was, in 2011. He was since promoted to a different position, given a pay raise, given more responsibilities, worked year-round, but they don't have documentation of any of that, of course, other than his pay scale to show that he was given that raise.
Counselor, are you filing suit?
You know, in order to file a claim against the city, the deadline's 180 days from June 30th, and that is something that Julian and I are considering. I would hope that there's a resolution short of litigation.
You know what the city's saying? They're saying, legally speaking, their hands are tied and they can't do anything. So, you know, what do you want them to do if they say they can't do anything? What options do they have?
Well, I don't think they've exhausted any resources. You know, I don't know. They've not come to me and said, if our meeting would have gone in a way where they said, I have looked every which way. Your husband was a full-time employee, acknowledged that, and said, we are trying to find a way to give him and these other men the benefits they deserve. If they said it's just a matter of we don't simply know where to pull the funds from, I could have listened and heard that. Instead, it was, we will do the bare minimum. We will meet legal requirements. And there are things that they have not done. There are requirements that they have not met. But that being said, they are trying to find any way that they can to do the absolute bare minimum for all of these families. And the dynamics of these families are so different. Our needs are so different. And certainly, I had a family of 6. There is no way I can sustain my family on what they are saying we would be entitled to. There's just no way.
What requirements are you saying the city has not met?
That's not what you said.
Well, I'm just saying I don't know that they've met them. I've not looked. When they say we've met every legal requirement, I don't know myself, nor have I been in any of the meetings with the other families. All I'm saying is they've done nothing to show me that they've tried in any way, shape, or form to raise monies for these families, to reach into other funds, to do whatever they need to do to make sure that we're okay. They've done none of that.
Mr. Kelly, no offense intended, but are you handling this matter for a fee or pro bono?
Pro bono.
What's your reaction to Speaker Tobin's statement that he plans to What's your reaction to Speaker Tobin's statement that he plans to introduce legislation making the benefits retroactive?
Yeah, well, I read shortly that article that was posted, if that's what you're referring to, that was published. Speaker Tobin, Senator Flake, several of the state officials have been fantastic. They've been with us every step of the way. They've been fighting for us behind the scenes. And so my hope is that is exactly what we've been praying for, some sort of resolution. I didn't want to be in any sort of negative, contentious relationship with anyone. I'm not angry necessarily with anyone other than just the strict unprofessionalism and that rude behavior. Otherwise, I just want to resolve. I want to resolve for all 19 families, and if the state, on the state level, if Speaker Tobin and Senator Flake are working together on making that right, bless them, and I pray that that's what happens. That's an answer to our prayers.
How many of the other families are with you on this?
We have been in contact every now and then. I've certainly not spoken with all of them. I pray that they're in support of it, but I will fight for their individual needs as much as I can. I'm in support of whatever their needs are. I don't know. I know that some people have their own concerns as far as information being public. Obviously, that has created drastic problems for the safety of us widows. Now that this information is being put public, I know that's a concern.
The city says it didn't put that information out on its own. It was responding to reporters' requests under the Freedom of Information Act.
Correct. And I've not spoken with anyone. I'm not to say who's to blame for that or not. I just know that it has caused extreme ramifications for us on this side because we live in fear already. Our husbands have died. They aren't coming home. Now it's public knowledge that we live alone, that we have responsibility, that there's monies being raised. It's a scary place to be, and already we're trying to figure out how to even feel comfortable in our own surroundings.
Have firefighters talked to you about that, providing some kind of security to make you feel more comfortable?
They have. The fire department has been fantastic in every way. They do a drive-by at my house every time that I request. They make sure that we're safe and secure. They've asked, do we need more security measures installed to make sure that you're safe? I don't know that they've reached out to the other 18 families, but I would imagine that they have, and if they've not, that they would certainly do whatever they can. The fire department has been phenomenal. I can't stress that enough.
2 more questions.
We have looked at dozens of pages of documents from the city which do not show anywhere that your husband was a full-time employee. Are you saying they're holding back on information they have that shows he was a full-time employee? Or do you acknowledge there is nothing that shows, no document that shows he was a full-time employee?
I don't think we can.
You can explain that.
Really?
You know, I don't believe that's an appropriate answer for Juliann to respond to, or question for her to respond to. We made a request for a complete copy of Andrew's file, and we've yet to receive that.
Can you subpoena those documents?
If there was litigation. We're hoping to resolve this matter short of litigation. The last thing this lady needs is an attorney in her life, given the emotional impact of the loss of her husband. We've received more cooperation, more of the documents through the media than we have through our request of the city. So I'd hesitate to answer your question at this time.
So you're not saying whether you think they're holding back?
I don't know.
We have documents, a lot of documents, that just don't show anywhere that he was full-time.
Brian, what we're saying is we don't know that we have the full universe of documents from Andrew's personnel file, and therefore we don't know if you have the full universe of documents from Andrew's personnel file. But what we're saying beyond that is, even if the documents supported the city's contention, that would mean the city was doing the absolute bare minimum of what they could possibly do. That is in stark contrast to everything that every other human being connected with this story has done. Everybody else, from the firefighters to the community, everybody else involved has done far more than the bare minimum. The city is saying, look, here's our documents. We're allowed to do the bare minimum, and that's why we're standing here today.
Juliann, have you received the federal benefits yet, or the donations that have poured in from the public?
We have not yet, speaking from my own self, and I imagine they'll be released at 19 at one time. So Not yet, but there are many charities that I have full faith that the funds will come through when the administrative process has been worked out.
If you don't receive the full benefits, will you be able to support your family or children?
You know, the way that I have to look at it is you have 19 families. For every $100 that's raised, that's approximately, what, $1.10? Is that it? For my child. Because with every $100, that's $5 per family, essentially, or $5.50. I have a household of 5. So for every $100 raised, that's $1 per child. So I have to go back to work. The funds look voluminous, and they have been, and I cannot express my gratitude enough for the people that have willingly donated. But it is a vast tragedy, a mass fatality. So again, for every $100 raised, my children get $1. And it's $1 I am grateful for, but I will have to go back to work. I did work full-time. I'm not opposed to that. I only stopped working when my husband became full-time with the fire department. I was there when he got a phone call that said, "You were given the lead position. Now you're a full-time employee." At that moment, we decided that I would quit my job, that I no longer needed to work. I could stay home with our babies. I gave up the benefits I had through a full-time employer because I knew that my husband now had a full-time position with the city and benefits. So I think that I will go to work if I need to, 100%. That's something I've done in my life anyway. But no, if I were not to go back to work and I did not get these benefits from the city, I do not know how I'd provide for my children.
Juliann, you've spoken critically of the mayor. You were quoted in a news article quoting a city official who said some offensive and harsh things to you. What was the name of that individual?
We're not here to name names. Natalie,
what was
what's
the
your
name
question?
of that individual?
We're not here to name names. Natalie,
She
what's
has
your
named
question?
names. Why can't she name this person?
Because I said we're not here to name names.
We are here to name names.
You really want to harangue the widow of the fire?
Let's take
I want these city officials should be identified. These city officials should be identified.
I'll answer it. It's okay. I'll answer it in this way, if I may.
Should be identified.
Thank you, Amanda. I'll answer it in this way. The individual that made a lot of those comments is in the HR department, and they're not elected anyway. So in answer to your question, that's not an elected official that made that comment. It's through the HR department. And so I don't need to name a name. They know who they are. She's fully aware of the comments that she made, and she was not alone in those. The whole meeting of 6 officials was very contentious.
Let's take this last question.
Kind of.
I just want to know when your next meeting is with the city.
We've
So do we.
enjoyed one meeting with the city, which was a week from last Wednesday. We've never heard from them since.
And I know you guys mailed a letter to them. Have you received a response at all?
I did send a letter to the mayor the following day, given my client's treatment at the benefit package meeting. The mayor and I spoke the following day. I heard from Senator Steve Pierce, Speaker Tobin, Senator Flake, and Representative Gosar. I have not heard back from any other council member from the city of Prescott.
And the mayor, what was his response?
His response was he's looking into it.